Okay, welcome back student. B.Sc Zoology Environmental Biology paper 4. We are discussing today topic number 3, environmental pollution. Here pollution is defined as a matter in the wrong place. Pollution in our normal environment is some matter which should not be there. If it is there, that is pollution. Now, clearly, if we want to see the definitions here, environmental pollutions can be defined as any undesirable changes which is not expected. Any undesirable changes, that means which is not expected in a physical, chemical, and biological characteristics of any components of the environment. That is air, water, soil, which can cause harmful effect on various forms of life or property. So if any unwanted changes with respect to this biological, physical and chemical characteristic happen in an environment, to that we term as a pollution. The term pollution can be defined as influence of any substance. The same components which are undesirable, if influence of such component cause nuisance and harmful effect and uneasiness to the organism, that is termed as a pollution. So just if you see a heap of garbage in front of your house and that cause uneasiness to you, that is a pollution. Forget about what kind of a garbage, what disease they are spreading, but just visual pollution. This is called as a visual pollution if it cause uneasiness to you. Okay, one more definition here is any substance causing nuisance or harmful effect or uneasiness to the organism, then that particular substance may be called as a pollutant. Pollution, the process results into the pollutions and the components of undesirable components, that is called as a pollutant. Now, for our study sake and for the control measures and for the scientific discussions, we separated this pollution in these many heading, but it is not necessary that they have their different separate pollutant and that pollutants are not causing the crisscross pollution. So water pollution, air pollution, land pollution, noise pollution, thermal pollutions, visual pollutions, lot many heading we generated to study this pollution systematically, to study how, what are the causes and what are the remedies. We have separated this with the different heading. Water pollution. Water pollution, you are very well aware of water pollutions because we always tend to buy a bottle of water from the shop of mineral water because we don't believe in any running water from the somewhere. If you have a source of water drinking through the tap, you avoid to drink it because we believe that every water in India drinking water is polluted, so we more believe on purchasing bottled water. So water pollution is very well, you know very well what is water pollution. Here you can see lot many unwanted things are entered into the water and cause dead and decaying of water and the vegetations and the aquatic life. So water pollutions can be defined as an alterations in physical, chemical, biological characteristics of water through natural or human activities and making it unsuitable for its designated use. Here natural reasons are very less and they are not at all causing any pollution, but some components are there which are naturally also getting entered into the water, and majority of same components, their source is through the human activity. So they have included here natural word. The components are same, but because of human activity, their concentration is increasing and they enter into the water and rivers and everywhere, and that causes the pollution, water pollution. So here fresh water presence on the earth's surface is put to many uses. It is used for drinking, domestic washing purpose, and for municipal uses, agriculture uses, irrigation purpose, industries purpose, navigations, that is a route of that boats and ships that travel through the rivers and the sea, then recreation purpose for water park, what we say. The used water becomes contaminated and is called as wastewater thereafter. Okay, so from here we start facing that water pollution problem. Once we use the water, we term it as a wastewater. We release it in a nature. We don't even bother to see what will happen when that wastewater, contaminated and wastewater, release into the nature. So sources of water pollutions, most of water pollution is made man-made. It may also occur naturally by adding of soil particles through erosion, animal waste, and leaching of minerals from the rocks. Now, in subsequent chapters around 3.4 or 3.5, we will have little more in-depth discussions of water pollution. Here, we are discussing only the different types of pollution. So, I sum up it with little in a short. So sources of water pollutions are municipal wastewater, industrial waste, inorganic pollutant, organic pollutants enter in the water, agriculture waste, waste and thermal pollutions. This is how municipal wastewater enter in your river systems. Municipal corporations always they release they grant permission to release the sewage water and every garbage into the river. So they treat river as a way of disposal of a waste. Industrial waste, major source of water pollution is wastewater discharged from industry and commercial bodies. These industries are chemical, metallurgical, food processing industry, textile, paper industry. They discharge several organic and inorganic pollutants that prove highly toxic to the living beings. And this is happening routinely from last 20, 30, 40 years. These industries are discharging their pollutions directly without treating into the rivers and causing the death of a river. But we know why they are still doing the same, and still we are learning these kind of sources. So I think at least two generations we are learning sources of water pollution through industries, and still we are flourishing with the industries, and still we are facing the same water pollution problem. No one bothered to correct that. Okay, so this is how industrial waste is released into the river, and that way entire river fauna and flora get affected and river become more and more polluted. So this could be a primary source of pollutants which lead into the secondary effect in a river water. Some inorganic pollutants, they include fine particles of different metals, chlorides, sulfate, oxides of iron, cadmium, acid and alkalis. These get suspended in a water and they cause a pollutions. So that comes in a food chains and through the fishes or through the plants that come in a food chains, and we have to face the problem. Organic pollutants, this includes oils, fats, phenol, organic acids, grease, and several other organic compounds. Okay, very well known impact of this organic pollutant you have heard about is a oil spill in a sea. When there is any leakage or damage to the oil container ship into the sea. That oil get leak in over the surface of the sea, and that cause the death of all the organisms present in the sea. So same way here, many human activities forced to release this grease and organic material into the uh, rivers, streams, and that make it is a gutter rather than the stream. So agriculture waste is another problem which cause facilitate the water pollutions, and the agriculture waste mostly involve these for chemical fertilizers and chemical pesticides. Then the farmer sprayed that in excess quantity in a farm, his agriculture farm, to the rain, and draining of that agriculture field, all that chemical and pesticides wash out and come into the mainstream water stream. So constantly they have become a potential source of water pollutions. These fertilizers contain major plant nutrients, mainly nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Now, see, these are natural components that should be there in a river, that should be drained through the agriculture fields or through the forest into the river, but the concentration of these three components is so high that affect flora in a river. So there is a more and more algal growth. Aquatic vegetation grows very rapidly in a river water, and that depleted the oxygen. They consume all the nutrients, and that reduces the light emissions to the base of that river. And this excess amount of nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium are the reason of water pollutions that makes that water dead, because of excess nutrition they leach into the river and the ponds and the lakes. So excess fertilizers may reach the groundwater by leaching, or may be mixed with the surface water of river, lakes, ponds, and by runoff and the drainage. And you don't want to have a high mineral water to drink. So you don't want to drink nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium containing water if it leach into the ground. Okay, then not only the rivers and lakes are polluted, but the sea also. Here, lot of sewage and garbage from the coastal cities are dumped into the sea, and even in the middle cities, through the running rivers, all that pollutants are drained into the sea. The other sources include the discharge of oil, grease, detergents, and radioactive waste from the ship into the sea. That is a reason of marine water pollutions. Then thermal pollution is one of a factor which leads to the water pollutions. So if you pour the very hot and boiling water into the river, that disturb the normal temperature of the river or water bodies, and that disturb the life of fauna in a aquatic fauna. So this is a thermal pollution of water. The thermal pollution causing damage to the water. So that this is one of the physical characteristics of water temperature, and that is get polluted. Here, the main source of thermal pollutions are from the thermal and nuclear power plant. The power generating plants use water as a coolant, and they release that hot water into the original source from where they collected that water. That sudden change in a temperatures kill fishes and other aquatic animals. So this is one of a reason. So now we come to the another point, another type of pollution, that is air pollution. Now again here with the definition, air pollution, that is a undesirable components ingredient when present in a air and degrading the quality of air, that is called as a air pollution. And here you can see this lot of smog and waste coming from this industry is not expected to be released into the air. So that is what the air pollution. So air pollution is the introduction of chemicals, particulate matter, or biological materials that cause harm or discomfort to human or other living organisms, or that cause damage to the natural environment or built environment into the atmosphere. Now we'll see slowly in next second chapter of this 3.2, we will discuss this air pollution in detail. So still you bear with me and just get know that air pollution is one of a type of pollution, environmental pollutions. In next chapter, we'll discuss that air pollution in detail later on. So just we'll take a review of this air pollution here. This air pollution is the introduction of chemical, particulate matter, or biological materials that causes harms or discomfort to humans or other living organisms, or cause damage to the natural environment or built environment in the atmosphere. So the substance, another way, is a substance in the air that can cause harm to human and the environment is known as an air pollutant. See, when we start our this human civilization on Earth, that time the environmental air quality and the present environmental air quality is very different, and we are not still cope up with living with all that altered air substance present in air. So we either we need to develop ourselves to get acquainted with the living with air, polluted air, or we should remove that reasons for the polluting air. So causes of air pollution are carbon dioxide, that is this happens because of the deforestation of fossil fuel burning. Now this word is very small to write here, fossil fuel burning, but the impact of this is very high, and you will find in every aspect of pollutions you will find the source is a fossil fuel. Even deforestation happen because of a use of fossil fuel. Okay, then sulfur dioxide due to the burning of sulfur containing compounds of fossil fuel. See, again the fossil fuel is a very harmful thing for all kind of developing all kind of pollutions. Then sulfur oxides, very dangerous to human at a high concentration. Sulfur in the atmosphere is responsible for the acid rain. In some next few lectures, we have a separate presentation on acid rain only, where we can imagine that from the sky there falls acid on our body, on our monuments, on our buildings, and you know what happen when anything come in contact with the acids. So this is one of a dangerous impact on the quality of air and many other aspect of our life because of this component sulfur oxides. Consequences of air pollution: CO2 is a good transmitter of sunlight, okay, but it is also particularly restrict infrared radiations going back from the earth into the space. They are good transmitter of sunlight, but they have capacity to heat up, so that CO2 molecule absorb heat and keep it on the surface, earth surface, which produce the so-called greenhouse effect that prevent a drastic cooling of earth during the night. Greenhouse gas effect. Now, if you heat up CO2 and keep it in a closed container, what the property is CO2 don't lose its temperature, and they bear with the temperature, they absorb the increased temperature, and that is the problem. CO2 naturally is produced, it is produced by the living organisms and consumed by the plants, and there is a cycle of O2 CO2 going on the earth to keep that earth live. But when excess amount of CO2 occurs, that lead into the increased temperature of Earth's surface, and that is the problem we get here. The CO2 is atmosphere also leads to the global warming, and there are then secondary impact of this greenhouse gas effect and global warming we have to face. So the source of that component which cause pollutions and discomfort to the human life lies in a carbon dioxide.